What's up? You're listening to 413 Pod, where we foster intentional conversations about faith and culture for the purpose of encouragement and teaching. My name is Justice Hill, and in today's episode, I talk with Johnny Leak about the importance of physical fitness as a believer. So, the importance of fitness or training as a believer, as a Christian, a lot of times it can go overlooked.
Right.
I think there has to be an even balance between being a training for godliness and then also keeping your physical body or your temple healthy as well. And so we're gonna have a conversation, just what your insights are on the whole physical piece, since you're Mr. 600 himself. Man, you got a 600, right?
Yeah, I got it a couple times.
On the and it's the PT test. So
Yeah, Army Combat Fitness Test.
Army Combat Fitness. And so is it the same test? So like if you were to say you were to go to the Air Force or the Navy or everything, would you have to do their version of it or?
Right. So I say the Army, they have like the most complex fitness test out of all the branches, because I think Navy and Air Force, they just do push-ups and sit-ups and run. So it's like real simple. And then the Marines, they have their own fitness test. And I think they have like push-ups, pull-ups. It's just like, because the Marines, they have two different tests. They have like the fitness test and then they have a combat test. So I don't know everything that goes into that, but yeah.
So would you say the Army is the hardest, or is there like?
I ain't trying to start no beef with nobody, but definitely like out of the Air Force and Navy, it's like harder, and then like just like comparing it to the Marine Corps, it's just like an encompassing fitness test. So it just tests every single aspect of your fitness. So it tests endurance, power, speed, strength. Like it just tests every single part of fitness on a soldier. And I think it does that better than any other PT test by any of the other services.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's real new, I think, within the last 10 years. So
Oh yeah, just when you think about when it comes to fitness, and even some people do fitness to look a certain way. Some people do
Right.
fitness to for health reasons. But if you really think about it, the fitness and either way really can affect our spiritual life as well.
yeah,
Like we're created. God gave us these bodies. One, we should be good stewards of them.
yeah,
Shouldn't let them just go to waste. But the thing is, because another way of looking at it is we have a certain amount of time here on this earth. We already know that,
right,
and so why not be in the best shape you can possibly be,
right,
so that you can carry out what it is that God might have for you. So imagine if you find out that God had this for you, but you weren't able to do that because you were lacking in discipline in how you ate, and because you were unhealthy or not physically fit, or couldn't do a certain thing, couldn't do a certain task. You weren't able to do something that you maybe weren't able to be on a certain platform that God wanted you to be on. And there's just tons of different ways where it just shows that how discipline, whether it's discipline to get up on time, whether it's discipline to make sure you're going to bed on time. There's a lot of these ways and how it can affect. I'm just right now I'm speaking from personal, because
right,
I realize with my spiritual walk is a lot better when I'm disciplined all around the clock. So when I'm disciplined with my food and what I eat, I feel better. I'm more active. I'm not drowsy. I don't get tired all the time when I'm eating what I should be eating, not eating a bunch of junk and just what's convenient. But also when I'm eating what I should be eating, it's because I'm being disciplined with my finances and I'm budgeting. I'm going to the grocery store and cooking. And when I'm doing that, I mean, that's another aspect being, I feel like I see money and finances as a resource, as something else, a tool that God's given us to use to advance the kingdom, whether that's obtaining certain levels of knowledge, so that you can be in certain rooms, so that you can have certain conversations, so you can get certain jobs.
Right.
Maybe that's an area that God wants you to be in, or you could use the money as actually a gift and blessing somebody else. And so when you think about it, discipline, whether it's finances, whether it's what I'm eating, whether it's getting up on time, and that's one of my biggest things is having time management to get the sleep and the rest that I need so that I have the energy during the day, but also so that I can get up on time because I know just how busy I am. If I don't get up at between 5 and 5:30 every day, something is going to be missed. And usually, unfortunately, the first thing that tends to want to go is that much needed quiet time in the morning,
Right.
even before I go to the gym.
Yeah.
And so we know that we talk about godly training and physical bodily training is really all tied in.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Bible talks about how there is there is value to physical training, but above all, of course, training for godliness. But like right now, we're talking on that value of physical training as a believer, and just like for me, I just noticed like when I am confident in just how I like, so when if I let myself go and I get to the point where I'm not a weight that I want to be, I don't feel confident looking in the mirror. I mean, some people might say that's vanity, you shouldn't be worried about that, but really when I'm being lazy and not disciplined and to that point where I'm eating and my body's to the point where I can't do the activities I like to do,
Right.
it really messes with me mentally.
Right.
And when it messes with me mentally, then my my diligence at my work, and if I'm doing any kind of learning and schooling, that goes down when I don't have the confidence. My engagement with other people, like I'm huge on building relationships and connecting with people, but if I'm not there feeling confident in myself, then that goes down, and that's a lot where a lot of my ministry is, and a lot of my connecting with others and sharing God's love and with others. But if I'm not there physically, where to the point where I'm confident, that is not at the level it can be. And then when it comes full circle, I'm not being the best that I can be, the best believer, best Christian, the best son of God that I can be because I've allowed my lack of discipline and fitness to cause, and it's just like dominoes falling down.
Yeah.
If I let that go down, it ruins my spiritual walk, and it ruins my mental game, and it ruins my relationships, and so it's all connected, and it could go either other way. If I were to let I let my quiet time go, that's going to affect the rest of my day. Domino effect ends up affecting not able to say I get in a disagreement with my fiance because I'm not where I need to be spiritually, and then next thing you know, we're arguing or we're having disagreements. Then I'm not getting to the gym. I'm not doing the work I need to do because my mind is clouded by this unnecessary thing that didn't need to take place.
Right.
And so for me, I've learned to realize that I have to be well-rounded when it comes to being disciplined in all these different areas, and one of those has to be fitness. I used to think I could get away if everything else is fine, but it really found out that it really affects me too.
Yeah.
But we know you're Superman. You're Superman. You ain't got a problem with that. But when it comes to just physical training as a believer, like, what do you have to say about that?
I just want to say to the people out here that when we say physical exercise, when we say physical fitness, we are not talking about going to the gym 2 to 3 hours and pumping iron
Right.
until you look like Hulk. Like, like that's not what we're talking about. Like scientifically, I'm gonna put on my master fitness trainer hat on right now. Like scientifically, a human only needs 30 minutes of exercise a day, and that
Really?
that exercise can be as small as walking. So if you do that 30 minutes a day and you eat the prescribed amount of like calories that your body needs, so like kind of like a crude way of doing this is just like take your body weight and add a zero to it. So my body weight is 240 pounds out of zero. That's 2,400. So that's just like my base. Like,
Taking mental notes here.
yeah. So like it's a more precise way of doing it, but that's kind of like a crude way of doing it. So you take that, that's like your baseline. So mine is 2,400. So if I eat like no more than 2,400 calories a day, and I'll at least walk 30 minutes, like I'm gonna stay in relatively good shape, and like that's enough shape to do whatever God has me like need to do. Like I don't need to be this size. Like you don't need to be humongous to do that. So I just want to get that expectation out of people's heads that you don't need to go to the gym for hours upon hours to get, muscles upon muscles. Like you just don't need that. Like the amount of exercise that we need to just be healthy and like what we need to eat is so small, and it's actually easy to do than what most people think they have to do.
Right.
But I think just as a believer, kind of like what you said, is just steward your body well. Like I said, it's a set amount of calories and a set amount of time that you need to exercise to just make sure your body is moving, because the Bible talks about us as a 3-part being. I forgot which verse it is, but it's Paul said, show your basically show yourself to the world as a light of God, and let your works be examples to men to glorify your Father in heaven. He didn't say show your spirit off to the world. He didn't say show your soul off. He said show your body as a light to the world. So we are a 3-part being. So it's no part of our being that we should ever neglect, whether that's mental, physical, or spiritual.
Right.
There's no part that we should neglect. So I think that is just big for a believer. And we talked about this earlier, but just the way that we live now, like the industrial age, the information age, this is relatively new. Like people for most of human history have worked outside. I mean, even if you looked at non-developed countries or just countries around the world in Africa, Asia, they still live like that. In South in like Latin America, like they still live like that, where most of the time they're working, they're outside, they're moving. So like they like, especially like in biblical times, they're not thinking about like, all right, I need to go to the gym and like hit my max. Like their whole life they're doing work, so they don't need they don't need to go to the gym or like have a special time where they're working on their physical fitness.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I feel like I was part of the thing that I struggled with. So, when I say I would lack confidence,
Right.
like you're saying, it doesn't take much for you to be healthy, to be where you need to be, so that you can do what you need to do, whether that's work wise, whether that's ministry wise. And I would get so caught up with what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is looking like. Like we're all built differently, but one of the huge things is just social media.
Right.
And you see these 30-second videos or even 10-second clips of somebody doing all this and pumping this iron, and then you're just like, oh man, like what am I doing? Like, look at his figure, look at his frame, look what he's doing, and then immediately takes your mindset just off of what your whole mission on this earth really is. And like a lot of people get caught up with, they got to be the biggest man in the room, and that can be a man issue. So I gotta go pump as much weight as I can. And so I'm not saying that this stuff is bad. Like some people enjoy working out and lifting heavy weights. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it gets to the point where it's consuming you, and it's got to the point where it's an idol in your life, where that's all that you do, all you do is make sure you structure your day around going to the gym. You structure what you're doing just off of how you look. And once you reach a certain look, and the thing about doing that is you're never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be someone else that looks better. You're always going to want to get a few more veins in that forearm. And so it just, when you get if you can get caught up with how fitness and body image is just kind of fed to us from social media and just our culture, then you kind of lose the whole meaning for being fit and physical fit. And I think you said it great. Like, we're not talking about you need to go in there as a believer and have just be jacked or be slim and trim and thick or whatever it is,
Yeah.
because you've immediately made it about yourself. You made it about others, made it about pleasing others, and once again, it just comes down with like the social media stuff. People that post that stuff, I'm not bashing on them either.
Right.
There's tons of people that do use that as a tool to help others become more physically fit, or they'll use that as a tool. There's people who just love fitness. They love being in the gym, and there's people who use that platform to also share the gospel or a scripture verse. And so there's great ways to use that, but we just can't get caught up with how the world is using it.
Right. I say that's the biggest thing is just what's your priority
Yeah.
about going to the gym. And then me, just being honest, the reason I started going to the gym, it was a vain reason. It was to get big so I can get girls. Because I've been lifting weights since I was about 14.
Right.
And then, just growing up watching TVs, all the cool guys are big and buff. So, like, that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to a point, and I'm going to tell you this story where it was 2 years ago, and I was going to MEPS. It was the military entrance process. But I was, they put you in a hotel before you go to MEPS. And then I went to the hotel, and then I was just looking at myself in the mirror because I've been fasting and working out, and like I didn't like my body. I didn't like the way I looked. I was like, oh, I'm so fat. Oh, like I can't stand. Why can't I lose this?
Right.
And then I went there early. I went there later, and then it turned out to be I was 7% body fat. So I was like,
Wait, hold on. You were 7% body fat, and you were sitting there thinking you were fat.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, it was so vain. Like my thought process when it came to fitness, it was completely selfish. It was just self-absorbed. I was just thinking about myself. And it was so dangerous and toxic that I was calling myself fat when I'm 7% body fat. Like that's dangerous. Like anything once you get like towards 7, 6, 5, like that's kind of dangerous. Like you naturally not supposed to have that much.
Wow.
Usually like it's like 10 to 15%. Like that's the natural like healthy like slim.
Really?
Yeah, like so 10 to 15. That's like a natural athletic build. A nice healthy fat percentage to have. But like once you get like past the 10s, you can get like a little like with the bodybuilders, like they can get dangerous. Like.
Right.
Having 3% body fat because your body is not supposed to not have that much fat.
Right.
So just make sure your priorities are right.
Shows how much of a mindset thing it actually can be.
Yeah.
Sitting at 7% body fat, and you think you're overweight.
Yeah, it's bad, man. But just make sure that your priorities are right and it's for the right reasons. So say like you're in the military or you're a fireman or a job, construction, something that like you need to be athletic, like you have to be physically fit, more physically fit than the average person to do good at your job. Then like you should go to the gym a little bit more. You should put a little bit more extra time into that. But if you're someone like me who's spending 2 hours in the gym and spending like 5 minutes to like read the verse of the day, like that your priorities are off, and
There's
my priorities were
imbalance,
right. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, and I think I just didn't have enough priority in my physical fitness area. Everything else, it was focused on everything else, and my issue was you were looking at yourself. My thing was, well, what are other people seeing from me? So I've had in high school I thought I was too thin. I thought I was too skinny. Oh, I need muscle. And then I got some weight. And I was like, oh, I'm overweight. I'm fat. People are going to think this. People are going to think that about me. And it's just like, I was never satisfied until I realized that it wasn't just in the fitness realm. It was several other aspects of my life where I realized I was so consumed with worried about how other people were looking at me and thinking about me. And come to nobody was thinking any of that, and it was only me, and it just shows how much it can be a mental, just you and yourself and
Right.
your thoughts, and it might be some thoughts that the enemy's throwing in there too. But a lot of times we want to blame stuff on the devil, and it's not the devil, and it's our own just flesh, and our own sinful nature, and so. But your whole thing on priorities is huge because you need to have them in order, your priorities in order, but you also have to make sure that they are on the priority list because
Right.
for the longest it wasn't on there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But once I found a balance to it, it was great. But the big thing about for me, I keep saying it over and over, but it was discipline. And I've recently tried the 75 hard
Yeah.
challenge that everybody's doing, and it's the reason I did it was because I needed a mental shift. I needed to challenge myself mentally. Like I could get in the gym, I could make a workout program or ask you to give me one, but my issue was sticking to it. Like I couldn't I can't say I couldn't. I wasn't sticking to what I was committing to, and then that was spilling over into other aspects, whether it was if anything I was pursuing, whether that's education wise, ministry wise, I would have a habit of not completing it.
Right.
And so when it comes to I needed a mental shift. And I tried this challenge 75 hard. It was had to have two workouts, 45-minute workouts a day. One was a outdoor workout. One had to be an outdoor workout. I had to drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, and stick to a diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do all these things for 75 days straight. And if I failed, I had to start those 75 days all over. And I made it to day 38, which was good for me because I just but it was good for me because now those habits of getting up on time to make sure I did get all my workouts in. It was crazy how just drinking enough water that I needed would get changed my energy, my cravings for the things that I didn't need to be eating, all the snacking, everything, all that was
Right.
I didn't have a desire for that anymore. I was enjoying the working out. I was enjoying how I was like feeling on the inside, and because of that, I had more energy. I had more focus on the more important things, or that's higher on the priority list, like
Right.
my relationships, my ministry, connecting with others, sharing the love of God with others. Like I was just like all over everything I was doing in life because I felt so good on the inside. I felt so good up here, and
Right.
I was disciplined and focused. And it just shows to being a believer, how being dedicated to make sure that you are taking care of yourself physically can really can impact almost like it will impact every aspect of your life.
Right. And for me, just a priority. I told you that I went on a fast, and like I fasted from the gym because because my priority.
Hold on. You got to be some type of superhuman to have to fast from the gym. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Explain your
was
point.
just-
But that's just, yeah,
It was
I'm
bad,
too
man.
fit, man. I just,
Because it was just like I felt like I still had like that negative mindset about the gym. Like the past couple years, I've been working on it, but like I felt like I had that little remnants of it, and I was like, I have to just stop going to the gym.
wow.
So basically, the reason I did that because my routine in the morning, I wake up at 3, I'll have Bible study, Spanish, and then go to the gym. But if I wake up late, I would skip Spanish and Bible study time to go to the gym, and that's not right. I should if I wake up late, the first thing that goes shouldn't be Bible study time. So
Priorities.
yeah, priorities.
That's good.
So when I stopped going to the gym for 3 weeks, like that's the only thing I had time for. So I was spending more than enough time on Bible study. I was spending like 2-3 hours a day just in the Word, and that just kick-started my routine. So like now I'm back to that routine, but now instead of just idly flipping through the Bible, like I'm like diligently reading the Bible, and I'm like, and I got a brand new note-taking Bible, so I'm taking notes, I'm highlighting, like I'm really getting into the Word. And then like when I go to the gym, like I'm able to give everything I got at the gym too, and I don't have to feel guilty because I know I gave everything I did with Bible study. And I
Oh,
even
that's huge,
yeah,
bro.
and I actually spend more time on Bible because I only work out for about 40 minutes every day,
Right.
but my Bible study time is an hour. And then that's not
Mm,
that's just my morning Bible study time. That's not including the podcast, the books I'm reading, the sermons I'm listening to throughout the day.
mm.
So just with that alone, just fixing my priorities and giving it everything I got in everything I do, it allows you to kind of experience this fullness.
That's great, man. So you said I like the aspect when you're talking about like when it comes to when you wake up in the morning, not having just knowing that okay, whether how early I got up, how late I got up, the first thing I need to do, the thing I know I need to get done is my Bible time, my
Right.
connection with God, because that's the priority. And then you said the other stuff will still come along, whether it's a 25-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute workout, whatever it is. You said, I know I won't feel guilty or knowing that I put this over God or over what I should
Right.
have been into. And that's great. That hit me because it's like the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I check to see how much time I got before I got to go to work, and it's like, what can I do? What am I going to eat? What am I going to? What? And it's not often. It's not always. How much time am I going to have to spend in my word before I have to get my day started? And and I think if we adapt that, just that model of what you have, I mean, it already shows like when I do spend time in my word and with God, how much my day runs smoother and how everything
Right.
goes. And we're kind of digging into another episode here, but when it comes to like that verse we were talking about, how bodily training is a small value
Mm-hmm.
compared to what our godly training should be. It's like everything you're talking about, from sermons to podcasts to scripture memory to your journal time,
Mm-hmm.
all of that is godliness, training for godliness. And so really, I mean, there's always something to learn, and so we can always be training, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, spiritually, and um, I think it. But I think that just do an overview real quick of what that priority should look like when it's because I feel like it can be different for
Uh-huh.
everybody, like you were talking about when it comes to what jobs you have, what your day to day looks like,
Mm-hmm.
but just as a believer, as a Christian, when it comes to the gym and compared to everything else, what would you say the balance should be?
That's a hard thing to say. Just to balance everything in your life, but definitely like God's first,
Hmm.
and then I would say friends, family, relationship. Then I would say career,
Hmm.
and then I would say gym after that. If I had to put it in priority.
Yeah, so you hear that? Gym is on the end.
Yeah, it
You
is.
don't want fitness, and it may not even be gym. It could
Uh,
be the Peloton or I don't know why
Hiking,
people.
you know,
I can't see how
walk.
people do the Peloton. But people are going on walks. People are walking their dogs. I mean, you can get fitness in some of your everyday activities,
Right.
but we just don't want that, and we don't. A lot of it has to do with social media, but we don't want to consume ourselves with that to the point where it's over those things of friends, family, relationships, and most importantly, our relationship with God.
Right.